Noah Nelson, it is so good to see you and have you here today to give us a glimpse into your story of freedom over porn and masturbation and the journey to sexual integrity.
Yeah, I'm so blessed that you gave me this opportunity, and I'm just yeah, ready to share whatever needs to be shared.
So cool, man. Well, Noah, you are married to Jill, and you have a
Mm.
huge passion for helping other men and young couples with Jill. And really, most of all, you're a man who's continuing to grow in sexual integrity, and really, you're a man who's after God's own heart. So I know that about you. It's super cool. And I also know that you have a story with many layers. It's a rich story, and believe that you and I have a rich history together in the relatively short time that we have known each other. So, man, I would love to know, Noah. My first question for you is, what was life like for you holistically, for you and Jill, you and your relationship with God? What were things like before you were working with me?
It's a good question because we can answer from two different perspectives. Me in it, I didn't think it was too terrible. I was just kind of feeding myself whatever I wanted, um, like pornography wise. Just I felt like I was okay. I was just functioning, and the way I've described it to other people is like I was just kind of existing, and I was fine with that. And same with Jill, like our relationship. I was just kind of like we were dating, but that was about it. And and even though I loved her, it very much was kind of like this half in, half out kind of thing, just because of all the pornography. So
Mhm.
that's the best way I can describe it. Is I was just kind of like drifting through the world, kind of.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And I mean, I think, and I mean, outside of that, right? So like I said, two different perspectives to the answer. When I was in it, like I felt healthy, felt fine, felt okay. I felt like, I mean, I was interning at a church, just serving like more than I was working. So I felt like I was like doing the Lord's work and
Mm.
all that stuff. I felt fine, honestly. At least I thought I felt fine. But now, from the outside looking in, I was depressed, couldn't talk to men or women,
Mm.
had anxiety, got like 4 hours of sleep a night, if that, very physically unhealthy. And that's all just from pornography.
Mm. Wow. So many pieces to that. And even just the idea of interning at a church and how we often try and put on our quote unquote best mask to make sure people don't find out what's going on behind the scenes with our secret habit. So, you were dating Jill when we met. You then got engaged. You then got married. But there was a lot that happened in the way or along the path of all of those milestones happening. And one of those things, Noah, was a full disclosure. So I
Mhm.
would love for you to explain how hard it was for you to commit, because I know that was hard for you to do the full disclosure and to begin being a man of honesty and integrity. Like, share with us the challenge of that.
Well, I can say it was extremely challenging considering that I guess Noah at the time thought it was too challenging. And I mean, it's kind of been like disclosed, right? Like it hasn't kind of been disclosed, it's been fully disclosed now. But even during our full disclosure, there were minor, tiny details that I still left out. And that just shows how hard it was for me as an addict, to come out of all this and just say all these things.
Mm.
And to anybody who ends up listening to this, that is like literally the number one regret I have in my recovery journey is not telling everything, um, but because it caused so much more problems. Um, and you know that you were there through it all. But
Mm.
yeah, it caused so much problems. It was a really hard process. Even when I wasn't telling the whole truth, it was still a hard process because I was trying to, like, being self-deceived as an addict. I was trying to like basically be like, well, how much sharing is enough and
Mm.
good enough. without sharing all of it.
Yeah.
But um, honestly, um, and this this is kind of just how it all landed. But saying at least a bunch of stuff in that time was still helpful, even though I didn't say all of it. It was still very helpful. Um, and I just wish, like I said, I could go back and actually say all of it. But it was a extremely important, crucial, difficult, but also in the end healing process.
Yeah. Wow. I remember the days, Noah, where it was so challenging. So I wanted to ask that question because, yeah, you're right. The addict brain is so deceptive and so
Yeah.
stuck. So what I hear you saying is that we need a coach to help us get unstuck, and we need to be honest and vulnerable because that is really the pathway to healing. So you shared a little bit about how important it was to do disclosure, but Noah, I'd love to know what has been some of the rewards from doing a full disclosure, which you had to disclose further afterwards, which is not ideal, but you eventually were able to disclose everything, which is a key. And then
Mhm.
also doing story healing and learning about yourself further from the programming and dysfunction and wounding you went through as a child and growing up. So, what are some of the rewards that have come into your life from doing some of that deeper work that maybe a lot of recovery programs don't actually focus on?
Yeah, yeah. It's um well, to circle back to the full disclosure real quick, I did end up having like basically a reamp of a full disclosure, Jill and my parents, to kind of watch the whole thing happen. And it was super freeing and healing. But outside of that, yeah, just the whole process through Secret Habit, of reading Unwanted, and learning practical steps. Sean, I'm sure you remember my attempt at making a calendar for myself, which for a lot of people who are watching this, they're probably like, he's addicted to porn. Why does he have to make a calendar? But it's all about like practical things to make you a more integrous and better person. Um, all that stuff really did help. Going through Unwanted, that's a great book that really opens you up to the idea that, like, hey, there could be stuff from your childhood. There probably is stuff from your childhood that compelled you to like sin and go to pornography. Like, there, like, because that's it would be insane to say that that's not a factor. But so many people don't think about that. Um, and yeah, just like I tell people, like, there's power in practicality. So you have a good mixture of just like biblical truth mixed with practical steps.
Mm,
Um, and for somebody who is in the thick of addiction, you need tools like the thought model. And you need scripture as well.
mhm,
Um, and so you provide both of those, and they really did make a massive impact on how I viewed myself, the world around me, God, Jill, and just the recovery journey as a whole. I was one of the biggest things that I dealt with, especially like a couple months into recovery, would be like this idea of like like I'm doing better, but I'm still a failure because I'm in this position.
mm.
And
That's right.
the tools of renewing the mind through scripture and through truth just was like it changed
Mm,
everything for me.
mm. Ah, it's powerful, man. Yeah, I do remember the calendar and these little steps along the way. And you're right. Some people would say, how does that have anything to do with recovery? But it's so much to do with recovery. And for those who are listening and want to learn more, we offer a free strategy session so we can talk about those kind of things. But I digress. Noah, what is your favorite thing that you get to experience today because you have freedom over porn and masturbation?
Um, man, I can't I can't stress it enough um, that the amount. and it sounds cliche until you experience it, but the amount of weightlessness that you have, because when
Mm,
you're addicted to porn, you don't really think you feel the weight, um,
yeah.
but when you fix it, when you get through it, and when you start working hard and changing,
Yeah.
um, you feel like you're able to walk around and be known by people, and just it helps you get closer to God and your partner, um, and just helps you give grace to yourself, just all of it. Like you
Yeah.
don't walk around feeling like a loser and a failure
Mm,
anymore because you've been saved and redeemed, and um, just that feeling of being free. Honestly, if I could just sum it all up, the feeling of being legitimately free never gets old. I wake up every day and I think about it.
mm. Cool, man. Cool. Your screen and voice lagged a little bit. So for those listening, it's not going to cause any problems. We can hear Noah's testimony loud and clear, and that's what matters most. So we're going to keep rolling with this. And I have one more question for you, Noah. And let's say there's someone listening to this testimony, this story, you sharing, and they don't really believe that freedom's available for them. They have tried everything, they are stuck, they can't imagine something else being possible for them. What would you tell someone like that? There's so many of them and they need hope.
Yeah, I mean, and I know I don't have the worst story ever, but like I was fully addicted to pornography at like 9.5, all the way till 20, almost 21. Um, I was watching pornography up to 3 times a day, um, and I really did not feel like there was any hope at all. Nor did I even think that I needed hope. I honestly, for most of my life, thought I was fine.
Mm,
Um, I was that deceived. And I just want to say to anybody who feels hopeless um, that through strategy and practicality, which you provide, and also scripture and the power of Jesus, like that changes that, and that really does change, you know. And it's hard work, but legitimately, no one's ever too far gone in this, and there's always a way to healing.
yeah,
Um, so
awesome.
yeah, that would be my encouragement.
Yeah. And everything you shared before that question came up was encouraging to that question as well. So, no, thanks for sharing, man. Like I said, I know you have a rich story with many more layers, but this is just a short tidbit into your story, into how we worked together, how God's worked through the work we did. And no, you and Jill are now working with men and women to help them in this area of struggle. So, just quickly, man, why don't you give a little plug in for what you guys are doing? Han and I are so excited for you guys. So we want to make sure that people know who Noah and Jill are and what God has put on your heart.
Yeah, well, first off, I just want to say thank you to Secret Habit and you and Helena. Me and Jill wouldn't be doing what we're doing if it wasn't for you guys. So, um, thank you. Yeah, from the bottom of both of our hearts, mine and Jill. Um, but yeah, me and my wife are currently doing a ministry called Liberated Living, where we help young men and women, uh, young Christian men and women specifically, uh, work through pornography addiction and betrayal through a solely biblical lens. We believe that sexual sin and pornography is a heart issue, and also the feelings that come from betrayal are heart issues. And you fix heart issues with Scripture and with Jesus. Um, and so we really are keen on discipling, not just like giving lessons, but really going through the Christian walk with people. Um, and that's kind of how we help people move
Yeah.
forward in this area.
Awesome, man. Love the mentorship approach. That's
Mhm.
awesome, man. Sexual discipleship is what we're all about as well. So, Noah, thank you, man, for sharing all that. Thank you for the courageous step forward you and Jill are taking to help men and women in this area. We need more people to run with. And I pray that whoever is watching this or has watched this or will watch this is blessed and encouraged and more importantly, feeling equipped to make good decisions for if that's booking a strategy call with me or looking into liberated living or just looking at blogs that are on our website, whatever it is. May you be encouraged and equipped. And Noah, just again, man, thank you for being a part of this.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This was a blast, and it was a blessing.
Awesome, man. God bless, buddy.
God bless.